The sound of sobbing echoed through my empty house, stopping me dead in my tracks. I'd been fumbling with my keys, exhausted from a late meeting, when those broken sounds pulled me toward the living room. There, curled up on my couch, was Carly, my son's fiancée, mascara streaking down her face like black rain. "I tried calling you," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Ryan won't listen to me. He won't listen to anyone anymore." I dropped my briefcase and sat beside her, my heart already racing. "What happened?" "Tom happened." She spat my ex-husband's name like poison. "He convinced Ryan to invest everything, our house deposit, our savings, everything, into his new tech startup." The room seemed to tilt sideways. 20 years of carefully maintaining distance from Tom's schemes, of protecting Ryan from his father's influence, all unraveled in an instant. "How much?" $240,000. Carly's hands trembled as she wiped her eyes. "Ryan says it's going to change our lives, that his father has inside connections, guaranteed returns." I knew those words. I'd heard them before, back when Tom had convinced my parents to invest in his foolproof real estate venture. They'd lost their retirement fund. Now here he was, 2 decades later, spinning the same web around our son. "When did this happen?" 3 days ago. I've been trying to talk sense into Ryan, but he keeps saying I don't understand business like his father does. Carly's voice hardened. "He's different now, Isla. It's like Tom's gotten inside his head." My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. "Mom, don't listen to Carly if she comes to you. She's just scared of taking risks. Dad's company is going to be huge." I showed Carly the message. She laughed, but it was hollow. "Risks? We were supposed to get married in 4 months. Now he's gambling our future on Tom's promises. Tell me everything you know about this startup." As Carly detailed Tom's pitch, revolutionary AI technology, prominent investors, guaranteed IPO within 18 months, I recognized his trademark mix of vague promises and specific numbers. He'd always known exactly how to make fantasy sound like fact. "Has Ryan signed anything yet?" "The transfer's scheduled for tomorrow morning." Carly stood up, pacing now. "He won't even show me the paperwork. Says it's all confidential." My phone buzzed again. Tom this time. "Isla, stay out of this. Ryan's finally thinking like a businessman. Don't ruin this for him." The familiar rage rose in my chest, but I forced it down. Getting emotional was exactly what Tom wanted. He'd always used my anger to paint me as the irrational one, the obstacle to progress. "Carly, I need you to go home and act normal. Don't mention you were here. I'm going to make some calls." "What are you going to do?" I thought about Mason, my friend in securities regulation, about the files I'd kept from Tom's previous ventures, about all the people he'd burned over the years who might finally want to talk. I'm going to show Ryan who his father really is, but I need time to do it right. Carly gathered her things, hesitating at the door. "Ryan loves you, Isla, but right now he's looking at Tom like he's some kind of savior." "I know. That's exactly what Tom wants." I hugged her tightly. "Go home. Trust me." After she left, I sat in the darkness, Tom's text glowing accusingly on my screen. 20 years ago, I'd walked away from his schemes, protecting myself but leaving others vulnerable. I wouldn't make that mistake again. This time, I'd tear down his house of cards brick by brick, even if it meant risking my relationship with Ryan. I picked up my phone and dialed Mason's number. It rang twice before his gruff voice answered. "Mason, remember that favor you owe me? I need everything you can find on a new tech startup, and I need it before tomorrow morning." Mason's research arrived at dawn. 3 pages of carefully documented red flags about Tom's startup. I hadn't slept, spending the night rehearsing what I'd say to Ryan. But when I pulled into the parking lot of Tom's gleaming office building, my carefully planned speech evaporated. Tom stood outside, arm around Ryan's shoulders, both of them laughing. The sight hit me like a physical blow. Ryan looked exactly like his father had 20 years ago. Same confident stance, same bright-eyed belief that the world was about to hand him everything he'd ever wanted. "Mom?" Ryan's smile faltered when he saw me. "What are you doing here?" We need to talk. I gripped Mason's papers in my coat pocket. All of us. Tom's charm switched on like a spotlight. Isla, always a pleasure. But Ryan and I have a meeting with investors in 10 minutes. Cancel it. I stepped closer, forcing Tom to look me in the eye. Unless you'd rather I share what I know about TechVision's funding sources with your investors directly? The mask slipped for just a second, a flash of something cold and calculating behind Tom's easy smile. Ryan, why don't you head upstairs? Your mother and I need to catch up. No. I kept my voice steady. Ryan stays. He needs to hear this. Hear what? Ryan moved closer to his father. Mom, if this is about Carly, it's about the shell companies. I pulled out Mason's papers. 3 of them, all registered in the Cayman Islands, all feeding money into TechVision through a series of fake investments. Want to explain that, Tom? Tom laughed, but I caught the tension in his shoulders. Business structures are complicated, Isla. Not everything is a conspiracy. The same business structures you used in 2008? When you convinced my parents to invest their retirement fund in your revolutionary real estate venture? Ryan's head snapped toward his father. What's she talking about? Ancient history. Tom waved his hand dismissively. Your mother never understood. They lost everything, I cut in. Just like the investors in your 2012 venture and your 2015 startup. Different names, same pattern. Create buzz, collect investments, then the company mysteriously fails while the money disappears offshore. Dad? Ryan's voice had lost its certainty. Is that true? Of course not. Your mother's always been jealous of my success. Tom's smile turned sharp. Remember who paid for your college, Ryan? Remember who's offering you a real future, not just small-town mediocrity. The money's gone, isn't it? I pressed. TechVision's AI technology doesn't exist. You're using Ryan's investment to pay off your last round of investors, aren't you? Tom's facade cracked. You don't know what you're talking about. I have proof. I held up the papers. Bank transfers, shell company registrations, everything. How many other young investors have you convinced to bet their futures on empty promises? Ryan grabbed the papers from my hand, scanning them quickly. His face went pale. These dates, these match when you first contacted me about investing. Son, listen. Don't call me that. Ryan's voice shook. Were you ever going to tell me? Or was I just another mark? Tom's charm vanished entirely. You ungrateful little... He caught himself, forcing a laugh. This is ridiculous. We have real investors waiting upstairs. Real opportunities. Your mother's trying to sabotage your future because she can't stand seeing you succeed where she failed. The transfer hasn't gone through yet, has it? I asked Ryan quietly. He shook his head, still staring at the papers. Then there's still time. I touched his arm gently. Come home. Talk to Carly. Make your own decisions, not his. Ryan. Tom's voice hardened. If you walk away now, don't expect any help from me ever again. No connections, no opportunities, nothing. Ryan looked between us, 22 years of manipulation and love warring on his face. Then he straightened his shoulders and handed the papers back to me. I don't want your help, he said to Tom. I don't want anything from you. He turned and walked away, leaving Tom and me alone in the morning sun. Tom's mask was gone completely now, replaced by something ugly and familiar. You'll regret this, he said softly. Both of you. I watched him stride into the building, already reaching for his phone. He'd find new investors, new victims, unless I stopped him. No, I whispered to his retreating back. This time, you'll regret it. I pulled out my phone and dialed Mason's number again. It was time for phase 2. Mason's office felt like a war room, scattered with documents and empty coffee cups. 3 days of digging had revealed the full scope of Tom's deception, each layer darker than the last. Your ex-husband's been busy. Mason tapped his keyboard, bringing up another spreadsheet. TechVision's just the tip of the iceberg. He's running at least 4 other schemes under different names. I leaned closer to the screen, my stomach churning. Those investment amounts, all from young professionals, mostly children of his old victims. Mason's voice hardened. He's targeting them specifically, using their parents' financial struggles as motivation. Don't end up like them, that sort of pitch. My phone buzzed. Another message from Ryan. He'd been staying with Carly, trying to process everything. I opened it, then wished I hadn't. Dad called. Says he can prove you're lying. Wants to meet. Isla? Mason touched my arm. What is it? Before I could answer, his office door burst open. Carly stood there, mascara streaked across her face. Ryan's gone. What do you mean, gone? He left this morning to meet Tom. Said he needed to hear both sides. She thrust her phone at me. Then I got this email. The screen showed a formal letter from Tech Vision's legal department threatening action against Ryan for corporate espionage. According to the document, he'd stolen proprietary information during his last visit to Tom's office. It's complete bullshit, Mason said, reading over my shoulder. But it'll tie him up in legal fees for years if Tom pursues it. That's not all. Carly's voice cracked. Tom's offering to drop everything if Ryan recommits to the investment, double the amount this time. The room spun slightly. Where are they meeting? The Marina Hotel, some kind of investor lunch. Carly grabbed my arm. Isla, he's going to take the deal. He called it fixing things. I checked my watch. 40 minutes until noon. Mason, send everything we have to your contact at the Securities Commission. Everything. That'll trigger an immediate investigation. He hesitated. Tom will know it was you. Good. I grabbed my coat. Carly, come with me. Ryan needs to see who else Tom's hurt. The drive to the marina felt endless. Carly filled the silence with details. How Ryan had grown distant over the past few days, spending hours on the phone with Tom, coming home with wild dreams of tech empire success. We found them in the hotel's restaurant, Tom holding court at a table full of young faces. Ryan sat beside him, shoulders tight, staring at a stack of papers. Just sign here, son. Tom's voice carried across the room. Show everyone you're not afraid of real success. I scanned the other faces around the table. A young woman with her father's tired eyes, two brothers wearing identical expressions of desperate hope. All children of Tom's previous victims, all carrying their parents' broken dreams. Ryan. My voice cut through the murmur of conversation. Before you sign, there's something you need to see. Tom's charm never wavered. Isla, this is a private business meeting. Show them, Carly. She stepped forward, opening her laptop. On the screen, a video began playing. Tom's previous victims sharing their stories. The parents of everyone at that table describing how they'd lost everything. Turn that off, Tom snapped, but the young woman was already standing. Dad? Her voice shook. Is that why you couldn't afford my college? The brothers exchanged glances. Our parents' bankruptcy. Ryan stared at the screen, then at the papers in front of him. You said they were just bitter about missing out. That they didn't have the vision to stay invested. They didn't understand business, Tom started, but Ryan was already standing. Like I don't understand? He looked around the table. Like none of us understand? How many times have you run this same con? Ryan, son, I saw the legal threats. Ryan's voice was ice. Trying to blackmail me into investing more? That's what a father does? The room erupted into chaos. Young investors demanding answers, Tom trying to maintain control, papers being snatched and scrutinized. Through it all, Ryan walked straight to Carly and held her tight. I'm sorry, he whispered. I almost lost everything believing in him again. I watched Tom's carefully constructed world crumble, satisfaction warring with old grief. He caught my eye across the chaos and mouthed two words, watch out. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I had truth on my side and a family worth fighting for. Whatever Tom was planning, I'd be ready. Mason's text confirmed it. Securities Commission moving in, hold tight. The real war was just beginning. The Securities Commission investigation hit a wall 3 days after the Marina Hotel confrontation. I sat in Mason's office, staring at an email that made my blood run cold. All the evidence is gone. Mason's voice was tight with frustration. Every document, every transfer record, everything we sent them disappeared from their servers overnight. That's impossible. I scrolled through the email again. Unless someone very powerful made it possible. Mason leaned back, rubbing his temples. Tom has friends in high places, Isla. Friends who owe him favors. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Back off while you still can. T. The office door opened and Ryan burst in, his face ashen. Mom, they're freezing my accounts. All of them. The bank says it's part of a fraud investigation. Against me. I felt the trap closing. Tom hadn't just been threatening legal action. He'd been laying groundwork. What exactly did they say? That I'm under investigation for attempting to defraud Tech Vision investors. Ryan's hands shook as he pulled out a formal notice. They're saying I tried to sabotage the company to manipulate stock prices. There's evidence, Mom. Evidence I've never seen before. Mason grabbed the notice, scanning it quickly. This is sophisticated. Forged emails, backdated documents. He's trying to make Ryan the scapegoat for everything. My phone buzzed again. Tom this time, not hiding behind unknown numbers. Let's talk. Just us. Or Ryan loses more than his money. Don't. Ryan grabbed my arm. He's trying to separate us, divide and conquer like always. But I was already reaching for my coat. Mason, start calling in favors. Anyone who might have dirt on Tom's real operations. Ryan, go home to Carly. Don't talk to anyone about this. Mom, trust me. I squeezed his hand. I won't let him win. Not this time. The drive to Tom's office felt like entering enemy territory. Security waved me through. They were expecting me. Tom stood at his window, backlit by the setting sun, looking every inch the successful businessman he pretended to be. You should see your face right now. He didn't turn around. Same expression you had when you first figured out what I really am. Remember that day? I remember everything. I stayed by the door. What do you want? Want? I want you to understand consequences. Now he turned, smile sharp as broken glass. Actions have ripples, Isla. Your little crusade? It's not just hurting me anymore. He tossed a file onto his desk. Inside were photos. Ryan at college, at parties, at work. Documents showing transactions I knew he'd never made. Emails he'd never written. Stop this. My voice didn't shake. I wouldn't give him that satisfaction. I will. When you publicly retract everything, tell the Securities Commission you made it all up out of spite. Watch me succeed while you and Ryan go back to your small, safe lives. Or Ryan goes to prison for fraud. His future, his reputation, everything, gone. Tom's smile widened. Choose, Isla. Your revenge or your son's life. My phone vibrated. A message from Mason. Don't give in. Found something big. Need 24 hours. Tom watched me, confident in his victory. He'd always been good at forcing impossible choices, backing people into corners until they broke. You're right, I said quietly. Actions have ripples. His smile faltered slightly. So you'll do it? I walked to his desk, picked up the file of fabricated evidence. You know what I remembered today? That safe in your old office, the one you thought I never found. The smile vanished completely. What? 20 years of secrets, Tom. 20 years of real evidence I kept, just in case. A complete lie, but I saw the flash of fear in his eyes. Want to talk about ripples? You're bluffing. Maybe. I turned toward the door. You have 24 hours to clear Ryan's name and drop everything, or we'll see whose evidence is more convincing. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. I walked out, heart pounding, praying Mason's lead was as big as he promised. Because I'd just started a countdown I couldn't stop, and Tom wasn't a man who handled desperation well. The game had changed. Now we were both playing for keeps, Mason's something big arrived at midnight. A trembling woman named Sarah standing in my kitchen, clutching a laptop to her chest. She was Tom's accountant, Mason explained quietly. Until 3 days ago. Sarah's fingers shook as she opened files. He doesn't know I kept copies. He thinks everything's gone, like with the Securities Commission, but She stopped, swallowing hard. I couldn't sleep after what he did to those families. The screen filled with spreadsheets, bank transfers, emails. A complete record of Tom's schemes going back 5 years. But something else caught my eye. Recent transfers to offshore accounts, all made within hours of our confrontation. He's preparing to run, Mason said, studying the data. These amounts, he's liquidating everything. My phone lit up. Carly calling at midnight never meant good news. Ryan's gone, she blurted before I could speak. He got a call from Tom an hour ago, said he was going to fix everything himself. The kitchen tilted sideways. Fix it how? I don't know, but he took all his documents about Tech Vision. Said something about making things right. Sarah's head snapped up. Tonight's the private investor meeting, top floor of the Tech Vision building. Mr. Wallace said no one could disturb him. Because he's closing deals before he disappears. I grabbed my keys. Mason, get that evidence to everyone. Media, authorities, everyone. Sarah, you're staying here where it's safe. Isla, wait. Mason caught my arm. Tom's desperate. If Ryan threatens his escape plan, then I need to move faster. The night air hit like a slap as I drove. Ryan wasn't answering his phone. Neither was Tom. The Tech Vision building loomed ahead, most windows dark except the top floor. Security tried to stop me. I showed them an old keycard from when Tom and I were married, praying it still worked. It did. He'd never bothered to remove my access. Arrogance or oversight, it didn't matter now. The elevator felt endless. I could hear raised voices through the penthouse door. Ryan's anger, Tom's smooth reassurances, other voices I didn't recognize. You're lying. Ryan's shout cut through clearly. I saw the transfer records. You're stealing everything. Son, you're confused. Don't call me that. You were going to let me take the fall while you ran away. I pushed through the door. Ryan stood facing Tom across a conference table, investors shrinking back against the walls. Father and son, mirror images of fury and betrayal. Security will handle this, Tom said smoothly, reaching for his phone. They're busy, I replied, dealing with federal agents in the lobby. Tom's mask slipped. You're bluffing. Check your accounts, Tom. Check the news. Sarah says hello. His fingers flew across his phone. I watched the color drain from his face as headlines appeared. Tech Vision fraud exposed, CEO under investigation, whistleblower reveals years of deception. You can't prove. He stopped as Ryan dropped a stack of papers on the table. My copies of everything, Ryan said quietly. The real documents, not your forgeries. The ones that show I was just another victim, not your accomplice. The investors were already moving, gathering their things, murmuring about lawyers. Tom's carefully constructed world crumbled in real time. This isn't over. He straightened his tie, that old, familiar gesture of control. You have no idea what I'm still capable of. Neither do you. I stepped between him and Ryan. But you're about to find out what I'm capable of. 20 years of watching, learning, waiting. Did you really think I didn't have a plan? Mom. Ryan's hand touched my shoulder. Let's go. Let him face what's coming alone. We turned to leave, but Tom's voice stopped us. I'll destroy you both. Everything you have, everything you are. No. I didn't turn around. You won't, because you don't exist anymore. Check your accounts again. The roar of rage behind us, the sound of something expensive shattering, followed us to the elevator. Ryan's hands were shaking. Did you really? Mason's friend in cybersecurity did. Every account, every hidden fund. Gone. The elevator descended into uncertainty, but for the first time in weeks, I felt steady. The war wasn't over, Tom wouldn't go quietly, but tonight's battle was ours. Mom? Ryan's voice was small. I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. I squeezed his hand as Sarah's evidence lit up phones across the city, burning Tom's empire to ash. The call came at 3 in the morning, Mason's voice tight with urgency. Sarah's gone. Her apartment's been ransacked. I sat up in bed, already reaching for clothes. Police? On their way, but... He paused. There's something else. All her copies of the evidence are corrupted. Every file, every backup. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. That's not possible. We had everything secured. Tom had a fail-safe. Some kind of delayed virus. It's hitting everywhere. News outlets, federal servers, everything we sent out. It's all turning to gibberish. My phone buzzed with a text. Did you really think I wouldn't be prepared? T. I drove through empty streets to Mason's office where Ryan and Carly were already waiting. The scene was chaos. Computers running diagnostics, phones ringing, Mason's team trying desperately to salvage what remained of Sarah's evidence. The virus is sophisticated, one tech explained. It's not just corrupting files, it's replacing them with false data. Data that makes everything look legitimate. What about the hard copies? Ryan asked. The papers I gave the investors? Mason shook his head. Already getting calls. Documents apparently showing those were forgeries. Tom's covering every angle. My phone lit up again. An email from Tom's lawyer. As I read, my hands started to shake. Mom? Ryan moved closer. What is it? He's suing us. All of us. Defamation, corporate espionage, criminal conspiracy. I looked up at Mason. The evidence he's presenting. It makes us look like we planned this whole thing. Like we're the ones running a con. That's insane, Carly protested. No one will believe. They already are. Mason turned his laptop, showing news headlines. Tech Vision CEO claims conspiracy. Evidence of corporate sabotage emerges. Whistleblower credibility questioned. Where's Sarah? Ryan's voice cracked. She can still testify. If we can find her. Mason rubbed his temples. And if Tom hasn't already gotten to her. My phone buzzed again. Tom's number this time. Against every instinct, I answered. Ready to end this? His voice was smooth, victorious. One public statement from you, admitting you fabricated everything out of spite, and this all goes away. Ryan keeps his freedom, your friend Mason keeps his license, and poor Sarah, well, let's say she'll be able to come home. You son of a... Careful, Isla. Everything you say is being recorded. For legal purposes, of course. He chuckled. You have 1 hour to decide. Tick-tock. The line went dead. I looked around the office, at Ryan's pale face, at Carly's tears, at Mason's defeated slump. He's won, Ryan whispered. Hasn't he? Before I could answer, Mason's computer chimed. A video call from an unknown number. When he answered, Sarah's face appeared, bruised but alive. I'm safe, she said quickly. But they're coming. Tom's people found my real backup, the one I never told anyone about. They're heading to the old records facility now. What backup? Mason leaned forward. Paper trails, years of them, in a storage unit under my grandmother's name. Everything printed, dated, notarized. She glanced over her shoulder. But they know, they'll destroy it all. The address appeared in chat. Across town, in the industrial district. Tom's people would be closer. Mom, no. Ryan grabbed my arm as I reached for my keys. It's too dangerous. He's desperate now. Exactly. I pulled free. Desperate means sloppy. Desperate means mistakes. Then I'm coming with you. No. I faced him fully. If this goes wrong, I need you clean. Someone has to be left to tell the truth. Mason stepped forward. Isla. Keep them safe. I was already moving. And be ready. Whatever happens, be ready. The night air hit like ice as I ran to my car. Another text from Tom lit up my phone. Wrong choice, as usual. But for the first time since this started, I smiled. Because Tom had forgotten something crucial about desperate people. They weren't the only ones who could make mistakes. I pressed the accelerator, racing toward either salvation or destruction, knowing that whatever waited at that storage facility would change everything. One way or another, this ended tonight. The storage facility loomed ahead, a maze of identical metal doors under flickering fluorescent lights. 2 black SUVs were already parked outside. Tom's people had beaten me here. But they hadn't found what they were looking for yet, or they'd be gone. Unit 247, Sarah's grandmother's unit. I crept through the corridors, following the numbered sequence until voices echoed ahead. It has to be here somewhere. Tom's voice, tight with frustration. Tear everything apart if you have to. I pressed against the wall, peering around the corner. Tom stood with 3 men in suits, surrounded by opened boxes and scattered papers. But they were at Unit 247B. Sarah, clever Sarah, had given them the wrong unit. Sir? One suit held up his phone. Security cameras show movement in Section C. Find whoever it is. Tom kicked a box aside. This whole place gets burned if we have to. I waited until 2 suits disappeared around the corner, then moved. Unit 247 was 3 doors down from Tom. The key Sarah had texted worked silently. Inside, stacked bankers' boxes filled the small space, each labeled meticulously. Tech Vision Fraud, 2019-2024. Offshore accounts, investor lists. 20 years of Tom's crimes preserved in paper and ink. Looking for something? I spun. Tom stood in the doorway, his last suit behind him. It's over, Tom. Nothing's over until I say it is. He stepped inside, eyes scanning the labels. All these years you were collecting evidence? Planning your revenge? No. I moved between him and the boxes. Sarah collected these. I just helped her find the courage to use them. Sarah. He laughed bitterly. The quiet little accountant. Should have known. He nodded to his suit. Burn it. The man reached into his jacket. I grabbed the nearest box and hurled it, scattering papers between them and me. Tom lunged forward, but I was already moving, slamming into him with 20 years of pent-up rage. We crashed into the hallway. The suit's lighter fluid splashed across the floor, igniting instantly. Smoke filled the narrow space. You never understood, did you? Tom grabbed my throat, pinning me against the wall. Power isn't about right or wrong. It's about who's willing to do whatever it takes. No. Another voice cut through the smoke. It's about truth. Ryan stood at the corridor's end, phone raised, live streaming everything. Behind him, Mason and 2 federal agents advanced with weapons drawn. Federal agents. Hands up. Tom's grip loosened. For the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. It's not just Sarah's evidence anymore. Ryan's voice shook with fury. Everyone's watching. Everyone's seeing who you really are. The suit surrendered immediately, but Tom backed away toward the growing flames. You think this changes anything? His calm mask cracked, revealing something desperate beneath. I'll start over. I always do. And you'll spend years trying to prove everything while you what? Mason stepped forward, badge raised. Run? Hide? The livestream has 50,000 viewers already. Every exit's covered. It's done. Tom looked at Ryan, one last attempt at manipulation. Son, I'm not your son. Ryan's phone stayed steady. I'm her son, and you're nothing but a fraud. The federal agents moved in. Tom's shoulders slumped as the handcuffs clicked shut. The fire department sirens wailed in the distance. The boxes? I coughed through the smoke. Saved most of them. Mason helped me up. Sarah's already at the federal building, giving her statement. You were right. Desperate people make mistakes. I watched them lead Tom away, his expensive suit covered in ash, his empire crumbling in real time as Ryan's live stream captured everything. Mom? Ryan lowered his phone finally. Are you okay? I touched my bruised throat, feeling the weight of 2 decades lifting. I am now. Outside, reporters were already gathering. Tom's carefully constructed facade of success would be tomorrow's cautionary tale. But more importantly, his power to hurt people was finally, permanently broken. "Ready to tell your story?" Mason asked quietly. I looked at Ryan, who nodded encouragement. "Yes," I said. "I think it's time everyone heard the truth. The truth about power, about justice, about the quiet strength it takes to stand against someone who would sacrifice anything or anyone to win. The truth about how sometimes the greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemy, but in simply surviving long enough to expose them to the light." The courthouse steps felt different in the morning sun. No reporters remained, no cameras tracked our movements. Just the quiet aftermath of justice, settling like dust after a storm, guilty on all counts. Mason folded the morning paper. Tom's face splashed across the front page. Maximum sentences. The judge made an example of him. I watched Ryan and Carly across the plaza, heads bent together over coffee cups, planning their rescheduled wedding. The simple sight of them, free from Tom's shadow, felt like victory enough. "Sarah called," Mason continued. "The Victim Restitution Fund is already over $8 million. More coming in daily as other schemes surface. And the others?" I asked quietly. "Tom's network is falling apart. His connections are scrambling to save themselves, turning on each other. 20 years of carefully built influence, gone in weeks." A familiar car pulled up to the curb. Tom's mother emerged, clutching an envelope. She'd sat behind him every day of the trial, watching her son's carefully constructed facade crumble under the weight of evidence. "Isla." She approached slowly, uncertain. This was in his things. He wanted Ryan to have it. Ryan noticed her presence, tensing slightly. I took the envelope. "I'll make sure he gets it." She nodded, aged beyond her years. Tell him I'm sorry for everything we enabled." After she left, I opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper, Tom's confession, written the night before sentencing. Not the legal one his lawyers had arranged, but a real one. Raw, honest. "Mom?" Ryan appeared at my shoulder. "What is it?" I handed him the letter. He read it slowly, Carly's hand steady on his arm. "He actually admitted it," Ryan whispered. "Everything. The manipulation, the lies, using me to get to other investors' children. People can surprise you," I said. "Even at the end. Should I visit him?" "That's your choice. No one else's." Ryan folded the letter carefully. "Maybe someday. When I'm ready. When it's about healing, not anger." Carly squeezed his hand. "Whatever you decide, we'll face it together." Mason's phone buzzed. He read the message, eyebrows rising. "The investment firm that bought TechVision's assets? They want to meet with Ryan. Something about his original software designs actually having potential." "Really?" Carly brightened. "They said someone vouched for his integrity. Someone who lost everything to Tom years ago, but recognized genuine talent when they saw Ryan's work." I watched understanding dawn on Ryan's face. Sometimes karma worked in unexpected ways, turning old wounds into new beginnings. "What do you think?" he asked me. "I think you should trust yourself. You know the difference now, between real opportunity and empty promises." He hugged me suddenly, fierce and protective. I learned from the best. The morning breeze carried away the last whispers of Tom's influence. Not through revenge or destruction, but through truth. Through the quiet strength of standing firm, protecting what mattered, letting justice find its own path. Mason touched my arm. "The Securities Commission wants to consult with you about helping other families spot investment fraud before it's too late. Using the past to protect the future?" I smiled slightly. "I'd like that." Ryan and Carly walked ahead, discussing wedding plans again. Mason followed, already making calls. I lingered a moment, watching my family, the one I'd fought for, the one I'd chosen, move forward into the light. The courthouse doors opened behind me. More families emerged, carrying their own stories of justice and healing. Some nodded to me in recognition, sharing the weight of similar battles won. I descended the steps slowly, leaving behind the echoes of old pain and fresh victory. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, but we'd face them together, stronger for having weathered this storm. The morning sun caught my wedding ring. Not Tom's, but the one I'd bought myself after the divorce, a promise of independence. It sparked briefly, like justice finally served, like truth finally spoken, like love finally freed from the shadows of deception. I joined my family, ready for whatever came next. Because some victories aren't about winning or losing, but about finding the courage to stand up, speak out, and protect what matters most, no matter the cost.